Hey everyone, welcome to another Webflow Workshop. I'm your host, Nelson. Thank you all for joining me. As always, before I even get started with anything, thank you to the ever-growing Webflow community, especially the people who are in the live chat room right now. Thank you so much for taking an hour out of your day to spend some time with other community members and also myself and a special guest. I'll just name you guys out right now because I love you all. Lieutenant Marcia, Daniel, Paul Voss, Nav is here. Awesome. Andre from South Africa. That is so awesome. We have an international group of awesome friends here. Jorn, hello. Alex. Even if I didn't get your name, I'm so sorry. Andrew, yeah, everyone's coming in now. Awesome, awesome. Thank you guys so much. So, this week's topic, it's all about UX. What is UX? You've probably heard this term bounce off here and there. What is UX? What is the difference between UX and UI? And how important is it to put it into your process and try to get your potential clients and your or your bosses to actually understand UX and see how useful it is for your future projects. And to help us explain it all, we have a special guest. Her name is Jane Portman. She is the author of the UI Edit, Audit. Sorry about that. I'm totally. I'm showing the website right now, uibreakfast.com/audit. She wrote a book on gaining control of UI UX issues. So she wrote the book on it, and I want to know more about it. you know.
Awesome.
So, how are you
Well,
doing
guys,
today?
doing good. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm thrilled.
Not a problem. Where you calling us from?
I'm based in Russia, a little bit to the south from Moscow.
Oh wow, wow! These internet speeds are getting great now.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to help explain stuff to me and help me as well as everyone in the chat room learn more on this UX stuff. So, first of all, how did you get into the whole UI UX consulting biz?
So I've been doing design for over 12 years. That's like overall design practice. And I grew into creative director of a large agency in Russia. That was up to 4 years ago. And then I had kids one at a time. So I have two boys right now. And then I decided that, as priorities usually change when you have kids. So I decided I no longer want to do the agency thing because it really drains all the resources and stuff like that. And I ventured out as a solo consultant, being an accomplished UI professional, but having like zero connections, zero network, zero audience. That was 4 years ago. And that slowly grew into a larger audience, larger connections, and three books as of today.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so this one is just fresh and I promote it everywhere. But besides that, I wrote a book with InVision called Fundamental UI Design. And my first one was not very spectacular. It was called Mastering App Presentation, but it solved the chicken and egg problem for my whole thing. So I had like better clients and because of that.
That's good.
And it's been a long, exciting journey. And among other things, I've realized that it's very important to focus on something. So these days, I'm focusing specifically on UI UX design for web applications because I think that B2B web applications are probably the most performing and money intensive area of of online business as opposed to mobile apps, for example. I don't want to diminish any kind of importance of mobile, but still there's so much work going on in web environments.
So, what made you gravitate towards it? Because web and app building, and it's so vast. There's so many pathways to get into a career in this industry. Like, why UI in UX?
Probably because the functional aspect of things is so important and so relevant to business goals. And that doesn't mean I don't enjoy the visual side of things. I do highly enjoy, branding and creative direction and, styling the apps themselves and doing visual style design for them. And I do that from time to time. That's like the little generalist side of me. But the functional side, the UX part specifically, is hugely important, and it can be easily linked to business goals. And therefore, what is the name of our today's meetup? It can be sold to clients more importantly, like with better impact.
Yes.
And it also really entertains me, and because every time I come into a project, it's like a big puzzle. How do we solve this functional problem? It's not about, drawing up pretty stuff, but it's about solving actual challenges. And that's exciting anytime.
Yes, yes. And for those who aren't familiar between the terms UI and UX, sometimes people get it confused. Can you help quickly explain the difference between user interface and user experience?
Right. That's I get asked about this a lot of times, and there is no quick answer for that. So user UI. So what's important is just to explain the terms at least a little bit. So UI stands for user interface, and this term originally goes to human computer interaction. When computers and machines just appeared, UI was already in place. So that's like the physical place or the screen place where things happen while you're doing something with the computer. And UX stands for user experience, which combines all kinds of aspects, what the user feels when they're interacting with your application or website, what they do, what screens they go through, what functionality they deal with, and even such aspects as customer support or loading times. They are all included in UX. So it's a very, very big thing to deal with. But what we think about UX, when we think about UX, we primarily think, wireframes, low fidelity prototypes, and everything related to UX research, of course, everything related to the functional side of things happening, if that helps. But I think it's not that important to differentiate between these two terms as it is to actually practice these things. Because there's so much speculation going on, like what's primary, UI or UX, etc., etc. I think UX is more functional, and UI it's just the what ends up being on the screen. So it does involve more visual design. Probably it implies like more high fidelity mockups, but there's no quick answer for that.
Okay, totally understand. Totally understand. And so now it's making more sense why UI in UX is super important. But moving on to the main question that I've had is that during my freelancing days and also in-house design days, I remember having stakeholders and bosses and clients that would look at UX and be like, nah, that's not a thing that's important. That's just build the thing. And so my main question is, how can I motivate a stakeholder, a boss or a client to say, hey, UX research before the design part or even the building part of a website is very important, and we should put resources and time into this. How do I explain or convince them to go that route?
I think that can be divided in a few parts. One is selling the value of UX in general. And the other problem is specifically selling the research phase of it, because it's merely just a phase of the whole, UX practice that you can do with a certain app or website. So research is just a very important preliminary phase of every, UX happening. I could say that it's usually like in my understanding, UX consists of research, then probably followed up by a strategy session when we define, product strategy and talk about that, and then goes the practical part, enriched with like the information that we got from the research part, and also considering the best practices, etc. And we take that and make, create wireframes or something tangible that we can test or show to people. So all that needs to be sold to the client. And really, there is no easy recipe for doing that, because no matter how we popularize this part, it still depends on the founder, or the person responsible for it. And there's so many businesses, and some of the founders do appreciate, UX and would like to bring us UX specialists at early stages into the project. And some of the people, they struggle with UX. They create the product that cannot find the audience, or the audience has trouble using it, and they suddenly run into problems, and then they turn to the UX specialists as their last resort, because they figure out they need to improve the product they have. So in our little outline, I have a few ways which you can use to sell the value of research and sell the value of the UX practice itself.
Okay.
So I think number one is probably making people turn their heads towards specific problems in their in their life, which probably signify troubles with UX. And I work specifically with web applications. So it's like when you write a product page or sales page, it always starts with a pain. So when you sell UX to a client, you need to address their specific pains. For a web application, I found out doing research that the specific pains that SaaS founders happen to face are high churn rates when users, engage poorly with the app and churn after a while, low trial to paid conversion, and the biggest one is high support volumes. When you keep getting similar support requests over and over, addressing the same features, when people are saying like, I don't know how to do this, where can I find that? And then suddenly the founder knows that there's trouble in these places. So that's how you turn their head towards UX. Okay. And then there's the event how you actually justify the value and sell it for
that's important.
For good money.
Yeah, that's important.
And there comes come methods that work with actually any kind of consulting, and design consulting and developer consulting too. So I really recommend charging more. Well, that's number one recipe. Well, yeah. Because when you charge more, you automatically fall under the category of business partners, as opposed to the category of outsourcers or poor souls in India who work for $2 an hour. I'm not generalizing, but there's certainly categories of freelancers like that. So you don't want to call yourself a freelancer. You want to call yourself a consultant. And this makes it easier to sell strategic sides like product strategy and UX with your services, because it becomes obvious and necessary to do that. And to do that, another thing you can do is called productized consulting. I don't know. Are you familiar with this term?
No, I am not.
Because in our little internet echo chamber, that's a pretty popular term, but I know that people outside the little echo chamber don't know it that much. So it's a way of selling services, especially consulting services, in a fixed price package, when you're essentially, instead of writing a proposal, you send your clients towards a long form sales page where you list everything that you're going to do, quote a specific fixed price, and just battle all kinds of objections, and so that makes a purchase really way easier for the client, because they instantly understand what you're bringing to the table. So in such format, it's specifically easier to show the value and the strategic part and the UX value that you're bringing to the table.
So just have a line item, line by line, what you're going to do, and show the value and cost of each one.
Exactly. So it's a way to sell consulting services with this long form sales page and a fixed price in the bottom. And the sales page should specifically, so the classic sales page structure is pain, dream, fix. So you start with the pains that we mentioned. You describe the dream situation, how magically wonderful it would be if UX were great. And the fix, then you describe what exactly you're going to do and how much value it brings to the table. Because when you're in another environment, when you just do negotiations and a proposal, it becomes harder to pitch on value. But in that long-form sales copy environment, it's easier to mix and match the strategic parts of your services with actual deliverables and describe it all. I hope this makes sense, because it's a really great thing.
It totally makes sense. I mean, you're showing your value. It's explaining, that research is super important, and you explain that in your proposal because you have a line item for each step of the way for this research, and you're showing how much value you're giving to your client and showing them that at the other side of the rainbow is their dream and it's gonna happen, and why when it happens, why it's so valuable. So I totally understand.
Okay, and also, as opposed to a regular proposal, when you sell fixed price packages, you don't really accept any negotiation on the scope. So if you include the research phase in your package, that's gonna mean that it's automatically important, and that's not gonna be omitted anyways. Because otherwise, when it's a flexible project, I've heard it so many times when clients say, "Oh well, can we just jump to the production phase?"
No.
Oh, why would you do something for a month? And I understand that because it costs money and seems like not very important thing, but it is.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And you already have two questions in the chat room. Do you want to take it, or do you want to take them now, or do you want to?
What kind of questions are they?
Okay, let's go to the questions. Signor is asking, but how do you know exactly the value? So
the value, yeah, it's a very abstract thing, but the value is the benefit that you bring to the business of the client, and it's always tied to money in the end. So it's either promoting purchases on the website or in the commerce site, and you can say that your activities are going to improve the conversion rate on the site, for example, or you're going to tell that better UX is going to reduce all the symptoms that we talked about before, which is high churn and recurring support issues. So for example, reducing support issues will definitely cut their budget and reduce their costs. Isn't that amazing? And therefore, you're absolutely worth hiring. Something like that.
I can see this. So if the company has a support team, and next thing you know, the support team is getting the same questions over and over, you can take the value of how much is each support team member, how much does it cost to hire them, and then how much not hire them, but how much are they getting paid, and then you break that down into hours. How many hours do they spend answering the same questions over and over, and then the dream is they don't need to answer those questions anymore. So that's how much money you're saving the company, which then is the value of the UX that you're bringing to the company.
Exactly. Unfortunately, it's really tough to tie to real numbers. So the calculation you described, it's really ephemeral and somehow not very quantitative. Unfortunately, that's a problem with design. That's a little bit better with conversion rate optimization, for example. If a consultant comes in and there is a sales page which sells something specific and they make this amount of dollars per month, and they come in and improve conversion, and now they make 2x dollars a month, that's like the perfect case study. But unfortunately, real life is not like that, and we don't usually get real numbers, and we usually cannot track, it's hard to track things. But you can definitely, not quantitatively, but you can qualitatively mention that this will reduce your support costs, this will improve your customer happiness, etc., and make the business better. So it's definitely, you cannot sell services based on your perfect skills. You cannot sell services based on, I don't know, something else. It's always a problem and then the improvement you can make to the person's business. And when you mention the word business, it becomes like you automatically gain credibility in their eyes,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yep, totally makes sense. There's
So
oh, go ahead.
try it. Comes with practice.
Yep, as with everything, and more practice comes more confidence in your skills, and you learn a lot, and it just goes up from there. Second question from GTA Fighter: do you have any recommendations to people who are starting out with UI UX, such as building a portfolio?
One more thing, a portfolio is really secondary to your sales website. If you're selling your services online, a portfolio is good because it gives you some credibility, but probably you should definitely okay, building a portfolio in one sense means serving your first couple clients just to make sure you can actually do that, and building your portfolio in that terms that you can confidently say that you've done it in the past. That's just one thing is finding your first few clients. That's one problem. And the other problem is displaying that portfolio in the shape of case studies on your site so that you can sell your services using that portfolio. So these are two different, aspects of actually finding your first few clients and then using that work to find more. And for the first part, it can, of course, be tough. There are a few approaches. First is bombard your first tell everyone that you're doing UI UX. Call yourself the right name first, and then maybe ask a few people, your former colleagues, relatives or someone, if they need that. But that's relevant to any design industry. That's how you get your first few projects. So if you're repositioned from branding towards UI UX, the way you gain first clients is absolutely going to be the same. Referrals or something like that. And the second part, the portfolio display part, is making sure that the portfolio is not the only, point of contact on your site. So the biggest mistake I see every day is designers just putting out their portfolio and no sales copy at all. The important thing is that you sell your services with sales copy by explaining that value, pain, dream fix, etc., etc. So that makes you, gets you clients, not just pretty pictures. And it's really important to understand that. It's, of course, very credible and awesome to display your existing work, but I highly recommend that you not just display the pictures, but make case studies instead of just pictures, and try to explain that business reasoning or your design decision, your design process, that introduce a client to your working process with these, not just show pictures, but tell the story around them.
Yeah,
Ooh, that was a big answer.
No, it's okay.
It's like, how do you sell your UI UX expertise? So many ways.
Yeah, there's so many ways,
Really.
and that's something we agree on right now. And I said that in a past Webflow workshop is tell your story. Don't try to sell something. Tell a story first, and then sell something. And what I mean by that is, you explain in each of your case studies. Here's the beginning and here's the end, but here's all the things I had to do to get to that end, all the research, all the wireframes, all the design mocks and everything that I had to go through. Keep a running log of everything you do, and that just makes your portfolio more credible. And you just show every part of the steps. So keep a running log. Great information.
Can I add a couple more words?
Oh, yeah, go for it. This is all you. Go for it.
It's super important to develop your own voice and some writing skills, because without writing skills, you're not going to achieve anything, because writing is key to all parts of the process. Proposals, website, consulting reports. If you provide an additional consulting PDF report to your design deliverables, you instantly dodge your value up a few $1,000s in their eyes, because you explain things and you make it deliverable.
Yes. That Great tips. Great tips. All right. I think people are already putting in their URLs. Do you want to go look at some sites that people have been doing in Webflow?
Let's do that.
Okay. All right. Hold on. Let me just double check on this one. Here. All right. Drag that in here. All right. Let me share my screen. Share that one. Whoa. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Do you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay. Kalpa. Okay, so let me refresh, see if there's any animations. Okay, no animations. Very simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Immediate thoughts so far, or just just tell me how to drive. Do you want me to scroll down or?
Let's scroll and have a look more.
Okay. I like the flat design.
Mm-hmm.
The negative space is really nice. It's breathable. Um,
Mm-hmm. That's it, right? That's all we
yep,
have.
that's all we have.
So,
Good.
yeah, surprisingly, you're not gonna get design feedback from me, but primarily, design in terms of functionality. So, can we scroll a little bit up?
Mm-hmm.
So it's great that you are so your headline and subhead definitely can be improved, but they're already quite good. It's really important to mention who you're serving, and you're mentioning that exactly in your headline. But it would be more beneficial to put it in simple human language, something that uh, Kalpa develops software for ophthalmic industry or something like that, because such line of nouns is not very readable. So what you're saying here is pretty good. Just make sure it's more simple to grasp from the first sight.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the big problem I see with the remainance of the site is that you're driving various calls to action, and ideally you should link to various products, but the prominent call to action should be just one per page. And let's see what we have here. Now we have a brochure about retina image analysis and a brochure about imaging software. Could we click on the brochure page?
It goes to a
But
PDF.
Mhm. So I don't see any reason why you could pick one more important brochure and put it behind an email sign up form. Because as a
Oh.
business, you definitely want to collect your emails first. So let's make glaucoma image analysis the key call to action,
Mm-hmm.
and drive it on the top and on the bottom. I know there is a common problem with landing pages because you want to link to various resources, and that's fine, but don't make them prominent calls to action. Make sure the prominent call to action is, a free download. Because if they click download brochure, in this case, they will get the brochure, but you will have no way to follow up with them. And
Oh,
you're
that's
just
true.
losing a lead right there. While if you do get their email address, you can nurture them further on with email campaigns. The
Oh.
contact information is definitely important, but I don't see why it couldn't be, switched to maybe another page. Even though I understand this is like a simple page, a single page website type. So yeah, in terms of design, I would go. I don't really favor the justification, the full justification for web text, because it's more a privilege of print materials, and I would prefer like the rough right edge if
Hmm.
you want. Um,
Which part are you talking about?
the two paragraph, yeah, two paragraphs right there.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
All right.
and yeah, also the the landing page, the top part above the fold is probably too large, and it doesn't imply scrolling. So maybe you want to make it a little bit smaller, maybe shift the logo to the side, and allow for some more content to pick up so that the person has more incentive to scroll and view your other stuff.
Okay, or maybe some sort of like call to action where contact us is replaced with something like click to read more or something, and it auto scrolls down.
It could be, definitely.
Okay.
It's good practice to place the primary call to action on the very top, like where you mentioned that, and on the very bottom. But we know other extremes when people place it throughout the page, and it's not very necessary. Just two is fine.
Okay. All right. Well, good thoughts. Hopefully this helps. Sakin. Sorry if I mess up your name. We're gonna go to Andre's site that he's working on, Oakfields College. Let's take a look at this one. All right. My first thoughts is a lot of things are happening right now. In fact, actually, too many things are happening to my eyes right now. So we
Yes,
have
I hear
a
you.
background video here, and it has this is equivalent to the blink tag in my opinion because it's happening so fast. It probably slow this down a bit, and then these lines, these diagonal lines, is really adding a lot of energy, but it's also distracting.
Will we
And
scroll down? Oh,
and then lastly, the explore tag. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe it's that your call to action saying, "Hey, read more on this." But if it's repeated over and over, I don't think it needs to be there. So my first thought when from coming to this page is less is more, less things happening. Well, and you want to direct the user's eyes in a more cleaner way. Yeah, so scrolling down. Oh, that's the end of the page. So this is the footer right here. And you might want to fix the horizontal scroll. You have something making it scroll left and right for some reason. Okay, so there's my take.
from the design standpoint, I totally share your stance on improving these thumbnails, like removing the horizontal, the diagonal stripes, and the explore tag definitely will improve the cleanliness of that. Also, the blue video thing doesn't bring much value to the user in terms of understanding what's going on. So, and it also doesn't look like a super professional video that you have to, you really want to boast off immediately. It's just like a handmade video or something like that. Sorry if I'm offending your video skills, but it just repeats a few not very clear statements. If you replace that with a static or slightly dynamic video of the sky and put a meaningful headline and subhead telling what is it that exactly that you do, not just like design, create, feel, imagine. That's all very inspirational, but it's not actionable for the user. You should definitely state what problems you help them solve, and you should state who exactly you help them solve it. All in the primary headline and the subhead. Also, it's not very clear what action you want them to take after this. I understand that it's an airport with many functions. You want them to browse, but it would be very beneficial if you prioritize one thing over the others. Maybe you want them, submit application or take a tour or, drop in their email address. Pick a single call to action that you want them to do and accentuate it, because people like to be guided. And here they're just left with a ton of visual stuff and they don't know what to do. Well, tell them what to do.
I agree. I agree. And these hovers, they're all the same, and it has that extraordinary education. But the hovers, I think you could replace the extraordinary education and the diagonal lines with a hover that just says read more, or even what Jane said is just combine all of these into one call to action so they can learn more on the next page. Yeah, so hopefully this helps. Let me go to another page. Andre, we're gonna skip your second page, and if we have time, we'll get back to it. But Anna wants us to see this one. Let's see what she's working on. I'm not gonna translate it. Oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
here we go.
Mm-hmm.
This is pretty. I'm guessing. Okay, so you're still this is still a work in progress. This is nice, great design. Breathable. I quickly understand what it is, even though I don't speak the language or read it. Okay, so it ends here, so it's still a work in progress. Nice big iconography. This could use a lot more white space because I think you're selling a home or renting a house or something like that, and homes are supposed to be spacious, in my opinion. And so maybe these columns could be it could have more white space around them as well. Yeah. So I guess this is the only page. And so what are your thoughts, Jane?
I think we're
Oh,
really, so I don't speak the language either, but you
hold on.
see.
Anna's saying it's the
Mhm.
wrong link. She gave us the wrong link.
Okay.
Ah, there we go. Okay, let's see. Scroll down. Okay, there
Yeah,
we go.
that looks better.
Okay, so I'm guessing these are tags. Okay, she has a scroll interaction for these. Okay.
Can we look at the price plans on the bottom?
Sure.
Um, so these must be, is this like a pricing table?
I think so.
So, what's great about this page? We don't know the language, but on the top, if you scroll up, it's pretty obvious that it's about housing. You have a
Mm-hmm.
nice, clear, static picture. It's pretty obvious that you're driving the search action home really well, and that's awesome. So, good job here, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
With the
I agree.
icons below. Um, a good rule of thumb is to display so breaking up the title icon and then description is not a very good practice, so it's way better to do icon headline description, and
Mm.
also all caps is not a very good practice because it looks like shouting to a lot of people online, so something
Oh.
just a little bit larger in type and maybe bold in treatment would probably do a better job here. And I would really tone down the size just a tiny bit, maybe make them more subtle, shade of purple, not so heavy, not so big. That's my subjective opinion, really. It
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't hurt.
Uh, I,
And mhm.
I will also I'd like to add the spacing at the top here between the top text of these columns and the bottom paragraph text before the next row, they are not equal. So making them
Yeah,
equal is very important because you want to make
uh-huh,
sure that the spacing is correct. Okay.
absolutely. So not sure what kind of value the tag cloud will bring. Maybe it's browsing, but then you can use your search when you use on top. So on the bottom we have two calls to action in the pricing grid, and we've talked about that a lot in the SaaS environment. And the best practice, to my understanding, is to bring the pricing grid to separate pricing page. And then on the homepage, you still want to drive one important free call to action, which in your case would probably be searching or whatever that form is on the top.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they already search, when you have their email, you can nurture them, you can make them use your app a little bit more. And then when they're ready to purchase after the free trial or whatsoever, then you drive them to the pricing page.
Yeah.
And also, the two packages, it's great that you have tiers, but it would probably be even better if you have the third tier, because it helps, even if it's like skyrocket high, it still helps you to anchor the middle tier so that it doesn't look so expensive. For example, I don't know, it's hard to judge how much it costs because it shows zeros for some reason.
Okay, so I
um,
translated it to English.
mhm, mhm. Right. It's quite strange that it costs some $0 a month. Then why all the hassle if it's zero? If it's zero, just make like a huge green button. Start it free right now. Like
It's probably
just
a work, still a work
yeah.
in progress. So they probably don't know. It probably doesn't know what the prices are. So just keeping them zero for
Oh,
now.
so okay.
Seems like it
Sorry
to
about
me.
that. That's a good note. Probably sorry about being so silly with the
No, that's
dummy.
okay. All right.
Right. So that's valid.
All right.
But
Moving. Oh, go
great
ahead.
job, nonetheless.
Yeah, it's a great job. I love the feel of it. So it's getting there. Just keep at it. Keep at it. All right. Moving on to Vladimir's website. Let's see what he's working on. Okay, it's in Russian.
No problem.
Okay. Oh wow, that's pretty. Okay. So first thing, it's pretty, but I don't know where to go.
Let's scroll.
So okay, I'm gonna scroll down. Okay, had a little flip animation with the date here. Okay, so we have a screenshot of seems like a website. Okay, these column type. Whoa, how did that happen? These column titles are very thin. I think they can be a little bit a normal weight, and then keep this one bold. But what? I clicked on budget, the text budget. So I click on name, nothing happens. Click on time, nothing happens. Click on budget, and then we have a contact form. So maybe that's a mistake. But yeah. Okay, I think I know what this is all about. Making templates, making Webflow templates. Interesting. So I'm gonna keep scrolling down. So I'm guessing this is a dynamic collection in Webflow.
I think I just saw a legacy animation with a specializing phrase. Did it just turn from italic to the regular font?
I think it did some sort of animation. Hold on, let me refresh. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll down a bit, and it's gonna come in. It's probably gonna lag on your end because animations happen slow on Google Hangouts. But let's see. Oh,
Yeah,
it does
yeah,
start italic. Interesting. I didn't know Webflow could
and it
do
moves
that.
a little bit. And it moves a little bit.
Okay, that's cool. Huh. Okay. Your thoughts on this?
When in regards of typography, I would recommend. So this is this extra letter spacing, which I see you want like an artistic touch, but I really don't think that improves readability on the web. So it's fine for separate elements like the date, for example, or a logo. But when it comes to the client name, I would probably stick to like 0%, like the regular letter spacing, if that makes sense. What's your take on that, Nelson?
I would agree. It's letter spacing is could be good for like typography, design, and whatnot. But when you're showing data, you don't want to get people confused. You want them to be able to read the data as quickly as possible and understand it rather than trying to make it an artistic thing.
Exactly. So, in terms of functionality, this is a typical actionless site because we're displaying something and we're not. So, the problem with the headline is that you're not explaining too much about yourself. Just mentioning UI UX design is definitely not enough. Can we scroll to the header, please, Nelson?
Sure.
So, it says UI UX website development. To achieve success in your industry, you need to focus on something, pick a niche who you're targeting, and talk about that in a few lines in your headline. So the headline should be helping agencies build effective websites that sell. This is essentially, it's conveying the same message, just in a more, just we now know who should stop in their tracks and look. If this agencies, for example, they will definitely be attracted to this message. And I see that you might not be ready to put together a long form sales copy, a long form sales page, but put some effort into like defining your headline and subhead and tell like what you do specifically, who you're helping, and just a few more words so that people know what you're doing. And with the examples below, we're observing the typical like portfolio thing. I don't know, they might be items for sale and they might be portfolio items. It's hard to judge, but whatever they are, there should be some action implied. If they are portfolio stage, make sure it doesn't imply any action, just one single contact button in the top and the bottom. If these are purchasable themes or something, then they each should have like a big action button to buy it. So make it more interactive, drive the user to do something with it and make it obvious what it is. Now it's just a pretty table, which is cool, but it doesn't imply any action, unfortunately.
Agreed. All right, moving on. Great job, Vlad. Keep going. One last thing on this one is, and I think that's what Jane is saying too, is explain it more. You need to, before designing, write copy. And I think John, our content strategist, wrote a blog about that on content design. You want to design your content first, which is writing up all the words that will go on your website before actually going into the wireframe stage. So hopefully that helps. We're moving on to Sydney's site, and this will be, we're going to go Sydney's site and then Renee's site, and then we're done. I think that's all the time we have for looking at sites. But here we go. Digital Hero, Sydney. Love the purple. Seems like a Webflow CMS purple, so I'm biased. Here we go. Hello, I'm Sydney. Okay, so he's telling his story. That's what I love. Here's my story. Don't hesitate to reach out. Very clean. The spacing is nice. Okay, so we have some interactions happening. Okay, so
Wow.
right, lots of purple, but
Look at these things falling from the sky.
oh, whoa, you can play with it. Oh, cool. So it explains him even more. That's nice. What is happening at the studio? Okay, so he embedded a Spotify playlist in the end. Awesome. My initial thought is it's beautiful, it's breathable for the eyes. And then my second thought is maybe a secondary color, because it and again, this is just subjective. Something that's not just another shade of purple, but something that comes out more. For example, the me circle is hidden because you have all these purples happening. And plus, what if someone's kind of colorblind, you know? I don't know what they would see here, but making it more apparent. Maybe the me is white or a different. What's a complementary color to purple? I don't know. I don't.
Something like green or orange probably will do the trick.
Yeah, probably green or something. Well, yeah. So we have this Spotify green showing right here
Looks good in
in comparison to the purple in the background. So
yeah.
maybe green could be your call to action color. Let's see here.
That's exactly the basics of the theory. What that you have, your call to action color should not repeat anywhere on this site, and it should be the opposite to all the other colors, like in the basic scheme. Does it mention like comply to what you usually preach, Nelson?
Yeah, having a different color. Yeah,
The call to action color should be unique and very, very different from all the other colors on the page.
So try using green here, Sydney, where you have this rollover. It starts black and you roll over and turns purple. Why not just have it green by default?
Great idea.
Just have it green for default and just see how that makes you feel. Because I know design is subjective, but see how that makes you feel. But great job on this one. Yeah. Okay, and so 3-column portfolio. Yeah. This guy loves playing with
Can we click on one?
Sure.
Oh, nice, nifty cards.
Okay. So I click on this, nothing happens. So I guess it's not done yet. But
Okay.
great job so far. Cool. All right, two more because Alex says I skipped his. Sorry about that, Alex. Where is yours? Where is
Could
yours?
I potentially just say a few words about the front page,
Yeah, sure.
because it's a um, the paragraph below is really good. That's what every designer should have on their site, like something describing what exactly they do and who they do it for. But the thing below it, which focuses on me and the skills, it's it's number one mistake in that regard, that people think that everything revolves around yourself, while it should be like your client's business should be in the middle of this diagram, seriously. And
Oh, yeah, good
everything else
point.
should be like UX, UI, like, and here's like this little bit I can help you with, or something like that. Like, this is how I can help your business, as opposed to like me in the center. And one more thing, like the playfulness of the icons dropping down, it's probably a little bit overboard. Would you like to trust your business to someone who has dribble icons falling from the sky? I probably wouldn't, just because it reduces credibility of this nice diagram, which should be focused on the client. So yeah, I think this is more most important feedback.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Great job, Sydney. Let's go for two more. Leka.webflow.io. All right, okay, nice.
Nice.
Okay, oh, well then.
That looks good.
Oh, okay. Immediately I know where the menu button is, and yep, that's what I expected. I expected this something to slide from the left because the menu button's on the left. I'm guessing search. Oh, okay, that's nice. I haven't seen a search do that. Wow, great job with interactions. Okay. Kind of confused with. So you have a triangle under the prints on wood, and I think this just is a mistake because notebooks, the triangle looks like it's next to cards, and then the triangle is all the way next to about. Do you see the triangle I'm talking about? The white one that's pointing down to bling. And then now this one's pointing to edgy. Not sure. Okay, so Alex says it's a work in progress. Okay. Looks good. Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about when it comes to oh that sorry, that's interesting. He's highlighting the middle letters of a product. I haven't seen that before. So that's unusual, but unusual is a good thing, okay? Because you don't want to be common on the internet, you know? But yet you don't do it here with bring color. The whole word is highlighted. So probably some consistency there. Is this a... Oh, okay, so we have a hover effect with the color going on here. And that's it on the home page. Okay.
These highlights, they draw attention away from calls to action, and on that row of categories, the shop now button is probably a little bit overboard, because it's not key, and people would guess to click on categories either way. I mean, it's important when it's like buy now, buy this very one right now. Then it's more important to like make the button itself obvious. But here, probably could get rid of that button, and also like what do you want people to do? Shop, and that's it. Maybe put in their email address for change, or something like that. Get a free shirt or something. Um,
Yeah.
so
It
free
sounds...
stuff works really well.
Yeah. Yeah, so totally understand. I would agree. These highlights take away from the actual call to action that you're trying to make the users go to, which is the shop now. So maybe the shop now could have this as a default, and then not sure if you need the highlighting of each category, but then again, this is all subjective, and it does make it look different. But from a UX point of view, it might be taking away the user's eye from the actual button that you want them to do. So it's this hard balance between that designers have is we want to make something look good and make it stand out from the crowd, but at the same time we have to balance functionality of a website and getting the user from point A to point B and convert. So it's tough. It's totally tough. I totally understand what you're trying to do, Alex. So good luck on that. But it looks beautiful so far. Okay, so last one we're taking a Reness by the Renrocks or Therein Ox. Let's see here. Oops, nope. I copied, please. There we go. Last one. And Jane, thank you again for going over these sites and giving us your feedback on this. It really helps not only the community but me as well, because it's going through all of this helps me learn a lot of things that I just overlook. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. Really hope it helps. Please don't. I don't mean to make it harsh on people, but really, action is important on sites.
Yes. Okay.
It's good.
Clear call to action right here. Love it.
This.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
This checkbox thing, it's not a common pattern for a call to action button. Like, can I uncheck it? Like, I know I can't, but it's too nifty to be conventional, and that makes it confusing sometimes.
Yeah, this does seem like a checkbox. Makes sense because it's a check in a box, and most people think that you can uncheck it. So what does it mean to uncheck it? Good point there. Okay, so we got some interactions happening here. Okay, 2 things here, and then lastly, all right. So these, I'm thinking you have some pointers for this one, right? Knowing the pattern.
Like a dozen calls to action here. So make them smaller text links and focus on one important one. This is a big recipe.
Okay. Seems like, yeah. Totally understand. I have no other thoughts on this one. Everything looks spacious as far as design. Actually, this padding on the left and right, you can have more of that because everything looks spacious up here, but then when you get here, the things are bumping up to the sides a little bit too close. And yeah.
The full justification, once again, I'm not a big fan of this on the web at all.
Yeah. But the padding on the sides would really help.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So good job to everyone. And if I didn't get to your site, we'll try for next week. But let's go back to Jane. Here we go. Sorry if we're going a little bit over time.
No, I'm totally flexible.
Thank you so much. So, 2 last things. You mentioned before the show that you are redesigning your site in Webflow.
I did already. Yeah, it's up.
I would like to see that. And while we're checking it out, can you tell us your experience with Webflow? Like, how did you go through it, and what was your thoughts when starting to learn it?
So I'm in that bad position when I don't really do any code myself.
It's not a bad position.
No, it's not really good because that doesn't I wish I could be as dangerous as coding everything up myself, but I'm not. So I've gone through a range of tools. I've tried numerous times because I managed other people for numerous other projects, different kind of workflows, starting from hardcore Photoshop mockups coded up by someone else, which results in tons of different inconsistencies and design flaws. Makes me like look for mistakes, like a dozen mistakes per page with little like wrong spacing here, wrong alignment there, like you guys crazy, and something like that. So the ability to do this myself is really cool. I also tried a few WordPress site builders, and they didn't even closely bring the desired, customization of typography, which you guys have. You have a superb typography controls, also inheritance of styles, which, for example, Sketch doesn't have. They only have, like they sync styles, but you cannot nest them based on one thing, and you guys can't do that.
Yeah.
So, and everything is totally live in a web version, so nobody can go wrong with that.
Yeah.
So my workflow was that I designed a few static pages using Webflow and then handed them over to WordPress developer, and he developed a custom WordPress theme for me based on that. I so wish you could support WordPress somehow, like natively. That would be superb, but you currently don't, right?
Well, you know about our CMS, right?
Right, but if I already have 50 articles
that's
and
true.
20
That's
posts,
true.
20 podcast episodes in WordPress.
And to those in the chat room who don't know, and for you, Jane, as well, the team is working on a CSV import for that exact problem.
Right.
Our CM... Oh, yeah. But in the meantime, if you have hundreds of blog posts on another platform, totally understand. But, yeah, can we see, is it still a work in progress, or is it something we can...
It is a live site, and you can share your screen and open it up. Okay. I do, however, anticipate a lot of comments about, like, you're a designer, where did all the images go?
Okay.
But it is very, very copy driven, so you'll see how different it can be from what we look here.
Okay, so go ahead and put it in the chat room or in the Google Hangouts chat room, however you want to share it.
You can open the book page, for example, slash uibreakfast.com/audit, because it has like a better image on top.
Okay, so this is actually built in Webflow?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I thought, okay, hold on, let me share my screen. Share. So this one's actually built in Webflow already. Let me see here. Interesting. Not seeing any Webflow code in there. Unless maybe I'm mistaken. So this one is built in Webflow, correct?
Yes. So the CSS files were handed over to a WordPress developer, so he might have stripped out some things that you're not seeing.
Oh, okay. I see. Let's check it. Okay, there it is. W section, W container. Yep, that's us. Okay, so yeah, it is possible, you guys. If you have clients that need to stay on a different platform, it is possible to export it, which is some flexibility that we give on the platform. So yeah, it's from a design perspective, it makes sense. It's breathable in from a UX perspective. It gets people to understand what you're trying to give them.
This is how much copy it takes to sell things online for real. Like, because pretty images, they are important, but testimonials and copy that addresses pains, it's more important, even though I know it's tough to believe.
Our content strategist, John, is in the chat room. He says, yay, copy-driven site. Yeah.
Finally. So I recommend a go-to book. My favorite one is Sean D'Souza, called The Brain Audit. It's the best. And also books by Joanna Wiebe from Copy Hackers. These are like my go-to resources when it comes to copy.
Can you give me links?
Sure. What's the best way to do that?
Go ahead and put in maybe in the chat room.
Okay, sure. So
A lot of people are saying copy any day. Yes. The
This
internet
is
is
you
meant
can
for.
find that on Amazon, and there is copyhackers.com for remove any web addresses and try again.
Oh,
That's very
okay. Just remove like the HTTP part or the www part.
it didn't have one.
Oh, you can put in the Google Hangouts channel or chat if you want to.
Okay, there it goes.
But let me mention that Jane is very nice and is giving you guys a promo code to download the book for or to get the what is it 29% off any of the book packages that you see on this page. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
So here's the coupon code Webflow 29, and I'm guessing they can just put it in the check when
Yeah,
checking
that would
out.
be Gumroad checkout.
Copyhackers.com. Thank you for that coupon code.
You're totally welcome. Well, that's totally not for everybody, but for those who work with web applications.
Okay.
And
Oh, go ahead. You were gonna say something.
also, if you go to the blog page, the first post is a content guide, which is like a super extensive directory of content that you can learn if you click on the first post. Start here your essential content guide. It's like a huge directory. It starts with my own books, but then it ends up with a ton of free articles, which combined on topics, which you can use. Just scroll down past my stuff. You can, just a second. Yeah, there it goes. UX design, how to master different stuff, how to get started in freelancing and consulting section can be specifically useful for folks here getting started with productized consulting, for example.
Yes, yes. This is a lot of great information. And it goes back.
Takes like, yeah, sorry.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
It took me years to accumulate these links. That's where I learned my stuff that I know from. So it's like a free way to educate yourself on stuff.
Nice. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and the coupon code. Just want to mention where people can find you. It's if they want to talk to you, it's uibreakfast.com, or on Twitter it's uibreakfast if you're trying to follow Jane. Stop that one. Cool. All right. Yeah, I ran a little bit over time, but lots of information, and let me try to summarize it. UX is important. Minimal call to actions are important. Getting your web users to give your their email addresses so you can nurture them and follow up with them rather than just clicking on a button, getting what they want and leaving, because maybe you can give them more information down the road. That's something super important that I just learned. What else? Oh yeah, the product itemization on your proposals and to show your value, starting with the research of the pain and showing that pretty perfect world picture at the end and the whole path of how you're going to get there. That'll show your value. I think that's the main thing. Is there anything else I'm missing from this talk that you want to share with the community?
In addition to all that, I guess expanding your own personal brand, starting to blog about things, building authority makes you all way more desirable, and it makes people listen to you, and clients will listen to you too. So it's a very long-term game, and if you're into it, start playing it right now. Start blogging, make yourself an email list, and do all the things if you have time.
Do all the things. Yes. Yes. Well, Jane, thank you. Thank you so much for your time, your knowledge, on your expertise. It's been really fun. Hopefully, we can have you back in a later episode.
I would be glad to. Thank you so much for having me once again.
No problem. And now I'm just gonna do my usual sign offs. And before I do, thank you guys in the live chat room. And if you're watching on a recording, thank you so much for watching. You guys are awesome. You guys are what makes Webflow super super awesome, because you guys believe in the product, the platform. You guys share your knowledge and your love for it, and I thank you so much as a big fanboy of it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So every this happens every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can go to webflow.com/workshops for the live streams and the past recordings, or you can follow us on subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/webflow. Hit us up on Twitter at Webflow App, or myself at The Pixel Geek, or Jane again for at UI Breakfast. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/Webflow. And two more things: the support at webflow.com for any of your account, billing, or technical issues. And lastly, join the community at forum.webflow.com. Ask your design issues there, and they'll help you out, because we all love helping each other out and growing to make beautiful things on the web. All right. So, yes, thank you again, Jane. Thank you again
Yay,
to everyone in
welcome.
the chat room. I will see you next week.
Bye
See ya.
bye.